Hey my friends, this is your heads up to the part 2 of It's Ruining My Life. But here's the how-to. Well, it's more than just a how-to. It's how-tos. There's lots of different things here. And also, it's a mammoth. Well, it's not mammoth, but it's just under an hour, which is amazing for me to be able to just talk like this in a part 2. I'm impressed with myself, to be honest. And also, which is not included here, there's a bonus of a hypnosis track that goes with it. And I just know that you're going to enjoy it. And I know if you've done the work, you're going to get the return on that investment. It's not hard work. It's not easy. You have to put effort in. But there's a reward to that investment. And who else is going to invest in you? Not me, but in you. And that's it. So do enjoy this. Have more fun than you can stand, and just set your intention to getting the most out of this podcast that you possibly can. See you in a moment.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey my friends, welcome to the Personal Development Unplugged podcast with me, Paul Clough. And obviously this is part 2. Well, it's part 2 of the second part of the two-parter. All about what people think about me, that worrying, it's ruining my life and all this stuff. Now, here's the first question. Did you listen to part 1? Because if you didn't, yeah, you can listen to this one and there'll be good stuff in it, but part 1 really does set the scene. So what type of scene did it set? Let's do a quick recap. See, originally there was a request by one of you to go through an issue where this person was getting so nervous, worrying about everything, and in fact even checking things to the umpteenth degree and then making mistakes. And then because of the worry, the communication doesn't really work, and they were then starting worrying about appearing rude. And then we get the old imposter theory, or say that again, Cluffy, the imposter syndrome. I shouldn't be here, they'll find me out. I'm not really good enough. And all the old usual stuff. And it is usual. It is stuff that I think we all come across in our lives to some degree or other. Now, to some degree or other can be good. Because you remember I talked about one or two clients of mine, and I gave you examples of behind every behavior there's a positive intention. Presupposition of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And I gave you those examples, and we could see that whilst the behavior right now isn't the most appropriate and certainly isn't getting the results anymore, in fact it's in conflict with that intention now. But the very first time your unconscious mind came across an episode in your life, with the wisdom it had, the experience it had, it chose this way of being able to make you a little bit anxious, maybe a little bit worrying, maybe that I'm not good enough belief, that negative and limiting belief, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, maybe I'm an imposter. And that got you through that issue. It made you maybe step up to the plate, maybe just double check things, maybe it got you to think of, I've got to be prepared, I will get prepared, and it got you through it. But then, as time goes by, you're going to do other stuff, and that other stuff is bigger and better, but your unconscious mind says, do you know what? If you're going to do this, we've really got to be safe, because I don't want you to feel like an imposter. I don't want you to really get scared about this, to have fear, to feel bad, to have guilt, to have hurt, to have any type of those negative feelings. So what I'm going to do is give you this negative belief of I'm not good enough, so it's exactly what you don't want to do, and get those worrying feelings, that anxiety, maybe now into fear, which is exactly what we didn't want, and ramp it up. Because if I can make you so fearful, worry about everything, have that belief of I'm not good enough, you will really step up to the plate. But unfortunately, it gets into overwhelm, doesn't it? It really just gets into overwhelm. And when we're in overwhelm, what happens? Exactly that. Nothing. Nothing happens other than we worry more. We've got a wonderful skill, you know. You know this skill. Because when you worry, you can visualize anything. I get so many people saying, I can't visualize anything. And I'll talk about the things that do scare them sometimes. And I can see them watching the film of it. But that's not visualization, Paul. That's me it's a visualization. If you're remembering something that's not happening right now and you're seeing it, you're visualizing it. And you have this wonderful skill because then you start visualizing out into the future what might happen. And you have this wonderful skill that your unconscious mind gives you to visualize all the worst that could happen, that maybe will never, ever, 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 ever happen, but could happen if it did happen, but it never, ever, ever will. But you have this wonderful skill to scare the living bejeebers out of you to make sure that you prepare well. And do you prepare well? No. We might check a lot of things, but if you're checking things in a state of fear, worry, people are going to find you out. And I'm saying to myself, don't make a mistake. Don't make a mistake. Guarantee you, you'll make a mistake. You'll have that fear. People will see that fear in you. That'll communicate it backwards and forwards. And then you'll find yourself not being able to communicate properly. Now, what we also said is, I wanted you to do a couple of things. And we were talking about that little podcast I did about write that sucker down. Because if you don't write these things down, I really feel it's a waste. It's a waste of those thoughts. Because as one thought comes in, the other one disappears. Write it down, because when you write it down, it has so many benefits. But it also gets you to write down the things I'm asking you to write down anyway, is getting your unconscious mind to be part of this process and to understand. And this is the biggie, for your unconscious mind to understand that what it's doing for you right now, not back then, but right now, is in total conflict with that intention, that positive intention. And when it gets that, it'll do the old Homer Simpson. Oh! But it just can't find, maybe it doesn't know a better way because it's stuck in the tracks of this old way. You know, you've seen the old metaphor. You can do that. You're brilliant. There's a metaphor of if you go down the one track, that one path across that grass, the grassy field, you go down that one path day in, day out, day in, day out. What happens? It becomes a permanent path, doesn't it? But the thing is, if you went off to the right and had another path, the right path, see that? See what I did? Go to the right and start walking through it. It's a bit difficult to start off with because it's overgrown, it's not there. But you go through it once and then you go through it again because you actually find out it's a better way. It's a better way, it's maybe more direct, it's more pleasant, and it's like your synaptic gaps are starting to fire in those neural pathways on this new way. And the more you do it this new way, the old path tends to grow over, doesn't it? You could always go back there if you wanted, but you've got this new way, this new path. And when that neural pathway gets more and more, it becomes, well, not the new way, but the way, the Tao, as they say. And what I said was, so that writing it down and showing the new ways and thinking, let's find some new ways. And I said, well, before we find the new ways, let's just go through one or two things. So I wanted to double check with you. You need to know why. Why do you want to change? Why would you want to change? You know, you got an unconscious mind doing something for you. It doesn't feel very good, but it's getting results. Not necessarily the best results, but it's getting some type of results. Why is it important to you to change? Because I want to find out. And I want you to find out, to have a reason to change. Because without the why, the value, the importance, you won't change. Well, that's a big statement, it's a big generality, but generally, people do not change. People do not do the things that they plan to do unless they have the big why. Why is it important to me? And what I said was, go that like 3 times extended. Say, why is that important to me? Well, it's important to me because of A. And why is A important to me? Well, that's important to me because it's B. And why is B important to me? And that's important to me because of, I get a C. And you look at each one of those to make sure they're all positive. Because sometimes we think things are so positive, but we're actually going away from something. So I want more money. I think of this example I gave. We want more money because that's important to me so I can have the comfort for my family. That's positive, isn't it? And why is that important to me? Because when I've got the comfort of my family, we can do whatever we want. Live the life. We'll be free. And why is being free important to you? Because when I'm free, I'll never be in debt again. Woo, there's that negative. Never be in debt again. Scarcity mindset. And that's a little bit we work on to make sure we're going towards our goal. So you've got a little bit there to work on. What's my belief around this scarcity of money? Let's just change that belief. Let's look at it, see if it's really true. What would be better than be free from debt? To have us. I mean, it was a long time ago. I heard a wonderful thing from a window cleaner. A window cleaner, he used to come and clean my house once every couple of weeks, 3 weeks. I used to have a little chat with him, and the speaker said, "How are you doing?" He said, "Oh, not too bad. Not too busy, but that's okay." "You do okay then for cash?" He said, "Yeah. As long as I've got £1 more than I need." So £1, $1 more than I need. That's all I need, Paul. Nothing more than that. I'm happy as Larry. Whoever Larry is. Larry is a happy boy, I guess. And I thought, what a wonderful way to be. That's not scarcity mindset. I've got £1 more than I need. And I'm comfortable with that. So I'm not chasing it because of debt. I'm just being comfortable. We'll go on to being comfortable in a minute. So I asked you to find your why and write it down. And then I said, well, how do you want to feel instead? Because that's like the direction we want to go. Because we can have all these words. And most of the time when we say these words of what do you want, it's, well, I don't want to worry anymore. It seems quite positive, but what's the first thing that happens when you say to yourself, I don't want to worry anymore? Well, you think of worry first. It's like, don't think of a pink, blue, rainbow, rabbit, come elephant in the room, in the corner behind you. Whoa, there it is. Every client, big generality again, Cloughy. Most clients I ask when they first come in and I say, what do you want? They tell me and give me a huge list of everything they don't want. I don't want to worry. I don't want to be anxious. I don't want to be frightened. I don't want to have a bad night's sleep anymore. I don't want to feel this feeling. And I go, that's great. We list those out. It's nice to know what people are actually feeling that they don't want. But I say, well, now answer my question. And they go, what are you talking about, Cloughy? Well, they don't call me Cloughy, but if they did, they would. And they say, I did, Paul. I answered your question. And I said, that's telling me everything you don't want. What do you want? Here's a bit more simple. How would you like to feel instead? And they go, well, I don't want to. No, how do you want to feel? Well, I want to feel at peace. I want to feel comfortable. And then it's like giving someone permission to think about what they really want. Because sometimes we've lived in this world of, call it the negative feelings, that sometimes we've forgotten what we really want. We just know we don't want what we've got now. We don't realize there's a positive intention because we think, there's this bad part of us maybe trying to do this stuff, and it's not. It's the best part in the world. If parts worked, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but if parts worked, it's a wonderful part. It's just using the wrong behaviors, keeping the intention and finding better ways. So again, I wanted you to imagine, and we'll do a little bit of this later, imagining how you want to feel, making an internal representation. What's that? Well, an internal representation is what you do naturally. What did I say very early on about this visualization, imagining? You have, when you think of the things that you worry about, you have this picture in your mind, whether it's in your mind or sometimes it's like a movie outside your mind, doesn't matter where it is, but you have this representation. We call it an internal representation. And it's generally in colour, sounds, got all the bits and pieces, maybe even an internal voice rattling, giving a commentary as well, asking some stupid questions. Well, not so helpful questions, put it that way. And it makes the picture go even better. And that, when you have that picture, creates a state, creates an emotion, doesn't it? And connected to that state, that emotion, is a physiology. A physiology. The way you move in your body, the way you stand, the way just a shape of you. You know someone who's, well, they even call it down, don't we? Who's sad. Are they standing upright, looking up? Do they have a spring in their step? No, they slouch. The head's down, the shoulders are all hunched over. Their steps are slow. Their breathing is, really? Their voice changes. And all of that becomes that behavior. So this is what we're doing in reverse, as it were. We're going to use that skill. I ask you to use this skill that you've got to create an internal representation, or even just a movie out there in front of you, of how you'd like to feel. So you need to see yourself over there. And we're going to do this as a we call it do we call it a drill in America? Sometimes it's a practice, but we're going to do a little thing on that visualization. But I ask you to start to think about it. Think about and imagine how you wanted to feel. What would you look like? How would you move? What feeling would it be when you're like that real feeling? How would your body be? And then how would you behave differently? Because that's exactly the same skill. So we're using the skills you've already got to make this new behavior. Or you could play a reverse. What's a new behavior that I want? Well, I want to be able to do this. And to do that, how would I move? Well, I'd just move in this comfortable, easy, confident way. Oh, there's my state. And when I see myself doing that, I'm seeing that and I'm seeing the results of it. Hence, I'll put it all together and create that new behavior. And it's like working in reverse. What's the behavior I want? How would I move? What's the feeling I'd have? Show me a picture of it. And notice, and the whole point of this is, notice that we haven't changed the intention. That intention is generally around being safe and comfortable. And when you think about how you would feel, that new behavior, with that physiology, that picture of yourself, and that state of mind and that emotion, have you changed? Are you unsafe? No, you're not. You're probably the most safest way you could be because you've got something that's actually working. So it's working, and you're, if you were worrying about not doing getting things wrong, and you see yourself as that new behavior, going through, checking twice, because twice is good, that's enough, making sure that you can communicate exactly what you want, and you're confident that you've done it right because you've got that ease, you've got that, you're taking everything in, you're focusing on the right things, getting it right. You haven't changed that intention at all. And so you're saying to your unconscious mind in a covert sort of way, what do you reckon? The old way or this new way? I haven't changed the intention because I want to keep safe. I'm honouring, as it were, that positive intention. Because I think that's where, I don't know if I said this in the first one, but I think that's where so many people go wrong when they try to go cold turkey. They push against and try to get rid of that intention as well because they don't realise it has a positive intention. It's just a bad thing to do. No, it isn't. Behaviours are no longer appropriate. And we so created a foundation, I guess, of understanding. And that was the whole point of part one, to get that just an understanding. So we're in alignment with that unconscious mind of yours, your best friend, doing its best that it can. But now you're showing that you've got a load more, a myriad of experiences, of emotions, beliefs, a way of doing things, behaviours, skills that would be more appropriate, would get that result so much better and keep that intention. And if you remember, well, you would remember if you listened to part one, I mentioned about listening to my first sort of podcast. Yeah, the recording's not 100%. Because I was doing things in different rooms and things like that. But it was all about feeling comfortable. And it's a lovely process from a wonderful hypnotherapist, or developed through Ericksonian hypnotherapy. But it didn't matter. It's a lovely way of getting your unconscious mind to notice that when you're feeling comfortable, because you're comfortable is you're comfortable. It's not necessarily relaxed, not necessarily at peace, but it's the most appropriate feeling of being comfortable. Because when you're comfortable, you're safe. When you're comfortable, you've got the right amount of confidence, the right amount of self-esteem. It's all aligned. And when you're comfortable, that process shows that you can go through any experience and deal with it in the best way and get your unconscious mind to learn from it. So again, we're honoring that positive intention, using different behaviors. And this one is just using one behavior, one state, as it were. But what I'd like you to do, if you're going to do things like that, let's just do it together very quickly, because I want you to anchor it, and then we'll do something else. You remember what anchoring is? Anchoring is, well, stimulus and response. Put them together. Remember, you listen to a piece of music and all of a sudden you feel a different emotion. Well, it's an auditory anchor. Remember a smell that suddenly takes you back to the days of old, as it were. That's a smelling anchor. That's a word for it. And it's gone from my mind. It's not Goose's story because that's taste. Olfactory, that's the word. Got it, Cloughy, you're there. Olfactory anchor. Sense of smell taking you back. But if you press a particular finger, like everyone does the first finger and the thumb, I tend to get people to do it on the little finger and the thumb because they've used those other fingers before. And all I want you to do is when you feel this feeling that we're going to feel, and it gets more and more intense, you just squeeze that little finger and thumb together. Say a little word, maybe comfortable, or absolutely, or whatever word feels right for you. So we're going to set a physical and an auditory anchor together. Woo! Then we're going to get it on. And then we're going to do something else as well. We're going to anchor something else. So this is all about some of the hows now. Because I said, once we got the understanding, we'd move on to hows. How we're going to do these things. So here's the first one. Can you remember a time when you just felt comfortable? You don't have to be doing an awful lot, not necessarily resting, because it's comfortable, but doing something would be better, because this is going to be applied to doing things when you're being comfortable. My example in that podcast, and it's the way I did it, was on my birthday. I used to go to a place called Grantchester Meadows. There was cattle, there was lovely trees. Take my dog Howie, bless him. We'd be there with a book, and that day and in that morning I'd write things that I just wanted to express to myself. And I felt nothing could harm me. I felt so comfortable, so calm. I felt expectant about the future. I just felt good. I felt curious. All the things, and I was focused as well. All the things that I just felt so comfortable in getting ready to do things. Have you got something like that? And we'll do it very quickly, but I'd rather you do, there's a hypnosis track on it as well called, guess what, 2.1, Feeling Comfortable. But the principle is you just go to that place in your mind. And as you go to that place in your mind, see what you saw, hear what you heard, and feel those feelings of being comfortable, whatever comfortable is for you. And as you feel that feeling, if you want, you could let the things that you see disappear, the things that you hear disappear, and only have that feeling remain. Notice where it's in your body. You might want to notice the way and the direction that it spins in such a wonderful way, where it starts, where it goes, and where it comes back, what colour it is. But just feel the feeling. It's all you have to do. The other stuff is just a little add-on. But just feel that feeling. And I want you to just intensify it. Make it stronger. Maybe I could just say, double it now. And poof. And as it begins to get more and more intense, get that little finger and thumb together. And just start to very slowly and gently squeeze it together as that feeling gets more and more intense. And say that word over and over again inside. You can say it outside if you want. I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. That would be mine. And say what you feel that feeling gives you. And then let it go. Let those little finger and thumb come apart. And then it intensified even more. Double that feeling again. And let it spread through every cell, every fibre of you. And as it begins to spread and gets more and more intense, little finger and thumb together again, begin to squeeze gently, easily, and say that word again. Say that word again. And have your unconscious mind remember it. And you can do this a few times. There's actually I'm sure in my hypnosis tracks, there's a track on just setting your state. That's one of them, anchoring. So you just have to search those. Where do you get them from? Well, you go to paulcloughonline.com/podcast. Anyway, that's one way of anchoring. Okay, get that feeling, that comfortable feeling. If you want to test it very quickly, here's the thing. While you listen to me now, can you see your name up in front of you, spelt out, and then see those letters and spell them backwards? HGUOLC. That's what I did. Clough, backwards. Do the same. And now, squeeze that little finger and thumb together and notice how you feel. Notice how that feeling changes for you now. And you become comfortable. Say that word. Squeeze and say that word. If you want to repeat what we just did to make it even stronger, you can do that. Here's the thing. I want you to move on. There's another thing we can do. Okay? So you've got this one feeling of being comfortable. We're going to use that for the moment just to begin to start the things. And then we're going to add another anchor to that same feeling, to that same anchor. So we're going to fire off the anchor in a moment. I'm going to take you through a few levels of thought. And then we're going to fire that original anchor to add it to the new feeling. And then have those both come down through those levels again. So I want to do it together. So I might use this as a separate recording as well, or do a separate recording, but if not, it's here. So if you are doing anything that takes your attention, driving, typing, whatever, walking, you're going to need to close your eyes for this. So do either just pause and then come back to it when you're good, or just have a little listen, but don't close your eyes and just then come back to it. But it's better probably just to pause it and then carry on. So we really do the things in sequence. Anyway, here's what I want to do. You ready? I want you to just make sure you're going to be undisturbed. It's only going to be about 5 minutes, I promise. And think of this. You can do it eyes open, eyes closed. It doesn't matter. Whichever is suitable for you, most appropriate. And I want you to begin to imagine, visualize the environment where you want to be different, where you want that change to have already happened. So maybe you were having problems in the past at work. Well, I just want you to imagine those places, just the places of work, the places where you'll be doing the change, as it were. Maybe you'll see them at home, because they'll change there as well, because it won't be just in one environment. But begin to imagine, just notice those environments. And as you notice those environments, even if you're just saying them out, with your internal voice or out loud, I'll be at work. What is work? And you'll remember work. And fire off that anchor and say that word. That comfortable anchor, and say that word as you just become aware of all the different environments. You'll be different, and as you notice all those environments, those different places in your life, those areas, you'll be different. I want you to notice and bring to mind the type of things you'll be doing having already changed. What will your behaviours be? Maybe those behaviours, they'll also include emotions. So how will you feel when you're doing those behaviours? So maybe I'll be doing this and I'll be focused. I'll be feeling competent. I'll be feeling confident in me. Or maybe it's the way you'll be communicating. Maybe it's the way you just go through it in your mind now. Just the behaviours. Holding on to the anchor. Just fire it one more time and say that word. And as you notice that, I want you to notice the skills that you will be accessing. Your skills, the skills and experiences you'll be associating with, that you've learned over the years. You may not see them as skills, but they're the things that you've learned. They'll be the things that you're doing and have done, and you've done them well. Just your capabilities, the learnings. And just wonder now, what are those capabilities, those skills that you'll be accessing easily and effortlessly? Having already changed. You can remember that visualization, that imagineering of how you'd like to feel, how you'd like to be, that physiology, that new behavior. Those skills that you require for that behavior, or those behaviors, and those emotions. And as you become aware of those, maybe just consider, what are the positive beliefs that you have now having changed? Doing the things you want to do in the way that you want to do them. What belief sets would you have now? Maybe you'll be able to think of a belief right now. One of mine is, I've got this. I've got this. It's going to be okay. And think how important this all is to you. How important this is. This is your why. Your why and the belief set that really supports you. Because it's so important to be this new way. And as you think of that, you can just notice who you really are. Just you. Fully aligned now. This is the real you. And as you feel the real you may even have a symbol come to mind, but as you feel the real you with everything we've talked about, fire off the anchor and feel this feeling too. Add it together, saying that word. And as you say that word and feel that anchor, I want you to hold that anchor gently as you come back through those set of beliefs and values that will just get stronger now, coloured, enriched. Those beliefs and values are getting so important. The why gets so rich. Those neural pathways are now firing together, that new path, the right path, allowing you to access all those skills and more that you hadn't even thought of. Your unconscious mind can go into all those wonderful places and find all the skills to allow you to access the emotions and behaviors that are the new ways. Knowing that you can do this anywhere with this wonderful intention of keeping you safe. And then just let it go. Let it go. Float it out into the future. Let your unconscious mind begin to know this is the way. And all you have to say in your mind is this or something better. And then if you've closed your eyes, you open your eyes, come back to me and just let it go. Now you can do this as many times as you like, because this is getting true alignment with ourselves. But you can fire this anchor off anytime you want. So when you are actually in those positions, in the new now, you can fire that anchor, say that word, and then just go about doing these new things. And you'll be amazed. I think you'll be amazed how skillful you are. You'll be doing things that you thought, well, I know I could do this, but I'm doing it even better, I'm guessing. Because I just believe I can. Because this is me. Something to, practice. Because practice doesn't make perfect, does it? Makes permanent. You do good practice, get permanently good. Become a master of everything you know. Knowing what you do, doing what you know. Anyway, let's break from that for a minute. Have a little big breath with me. And we talked about completely sort of the same thing, but we talk about other people's opinions, because now those opinions won't worry you, but in the past they used to. But here's one of the things, and you can tell yourself this. Clough said this, And my son says it to the people within his programs. Other people's opinions are not your business. Full stop. Because it's their opinions based on their perception, based on their filters, and their filters are based on their experiences and the way they were brought up and their beliefs. So they're never, ever, 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 ever really going to be right, are they? They're not. Because it's your standards. End of story. You set the bar. You set your personal best. You set the standard to be 1% better every day. And you know, if you're basing it on selfless service, you're doing things for others and this little old planet Earth, you're going to get the benefit of it anyway. So just making things better. And if it's selfless service, you're doing better for those people anyway. Because you know you're going to do it right then. And their opinion doesn't matter. But here's the thing. It's good to check. Because we said there's that thing about checking and checking and checking and checking. They were the old behaviours. But part of the old behaviour is good. And when I work with people with OCD, do I take it all away? Well, I don't take anything away, really. I just find what was the intention. This is the old process, really. What's the intention of the OCD? And if it's checking things, well, it's obviously to be safe. And then say, well, part of that skill is checking once. And once you've checked, you know you have done the work. That's it, gone. So you've, again, honoured the intention, but the conflict was doing it more and more, giving you anxiety. Anxiety is not keeping you safe about those things. So how do you do that sometimes? You know, we can check locks and things like that once, but if you're doing something that requires you to do something for somebody else on a repetitive basis, here's a cognitive thing. You know, what's the intention? First of all, set your intention. I want to do this because I have to get it right because of the consequences of getting it wrong. And it's important I get it right for them and for me. So here's my intention. My intention is to get this right. Make a little checklist. That's all it is, a simple checklist. And what happens is you make your checklist and then you take the things out of it that are superfluous, because sometimes we go overboard. What are the real things, the most important points? And that's it. And what you'll find is you have that checklist with you. You put it in that place, in that environment where you're going to be doing that work. But you fire off the anchor you've got, and that's going to start firing itself anyway, because those environments are suddenly going to fire off everything else. Those behaviours are going to fire off everything else. But the thing is, you're going to start to use a checklist just to make sure that you've done it right in the first place, because you know you have. And you go, oh, occasionally that checklist has just saved my little bacon. I've just done a little bit there. But it's going to become a permanent habit to do it right first time. But a checklist is always good, because then you know you're being professional. Now, the other question was, and I want to address this before we do anything else, is if we worry about appearing rude. Now, if we say something that we know is not the right thing to say, a lot of us mumble, try to get over it, and try to ignore it. Now, when I'm working with a client and I say something which is not right, this is what I was taught. The person who taught me was, when you listen to what you say, so as if you could be saying it and also listening to what you say. If you say it wrong, correct yourself. Actually tell somebody, I didn't mean to say that. I don't know why I said it, but this is what I meant. Let's get it right. And no one worries about that, because they get what you really meant to say. Because they actually go, oh, well, if you didn't mean to say that, what did you mean? And you've got their focus of attention. I also know of a trainer who, if he makes a mistake in doing something, he will actually step aside and say, do you know what? Pointing to the place where he came from. I can't believe I said that. What was I thinking back then? I'm really sorry. And again, address the problem. Other thing you can do, because obviously you've got your intention. You've got to know your outcome. Your intention is to do it right. My outcome is to be maybe friendly and get it right. But also, you could ask for feedback. Not necessarily at that moment in time. Now, did I appear rude then? Because maybe you could ask that. I'm sorry, did that come across rude? Now, isn't that a lovely way to do it? I just said that, and that to me came across a little bit rude. That wasn't my intention. And if I did, I apologise. And people will go, oh, it was a little bit, but I get what you feel. Forget what you feel. I get what you're doing. They'll be awesome with you. If you've got someone watching you a little bit from the side, they're not watching you, but you can just ask them, just keep an eye on me for a minute. I'd love your feedback. Let me know how I can do things better. Not what I'm doing wrong, how I can do things better. We want the positive, not the negative. But this thing about setting your outcome. You see, so simple, these things, and the simple things are things that we tend to forget. So setting and knowing your outcome. I told this story a long time ago. But when I first started knowing about this outcome, I was in business. And now we all supposedly know what we want. Do we really? I don't think so. We've got an idea, but we don't bring it to the forefront of our mind. And we would go to meetings to try to secure projects and jobs, contracts, as it were. And the meetings would go for ages. And we'd talk around and didn't really ask the real questions. And then one day we were driving to this meeting, and I said to Mike, my partner, "What's your outcome for this meeting then?" He goes, "What do you mean outcome? We're just going to this project meeting." And no, Mike, just for this moment, humour me. This is the new way I've been taught. What's your outcome for this? And he said, "Well, I want to get this project. This is a project and I want to get it, and I want to just find out about this, this and this." I said, "Okay, let's just repeat that to ourselves. We want to get the project and we want to make sure that we understand this, this and this." Exactly right, Paul. I can't believe it. That first meeting when we did that, the meeting that normally took an hour and a half, 2 hours, 45 minutes. Did we get the project? Absolutely. Because we were focused on giving the right information. Did we get that clarification on those this and this? Absolutely. And we came away looking at each other, driving back going, "What the hell happened there, Paul?" I said, "Well, funny enough, we just knew our outcome and we just, somehow it took our focus." So whatever you're doing, just restate your outcome. I do it with every client. I know what I want. Every client I work with, I will set my outcome. I even have notes on, some of the notes on the podcast, they're not scripts or anything, but they're my outcomes. How do I want you to feel? What do I want to tell you? I even say, why is this important? These are my outcomes for that podcast. I reassess them every time. Now, you have to, it takes minutes, seconds, but it will make so much difference to your life. And when you fire off the anchor and you start doing this thing and all this stuff will just come together. Promise you. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do one more little takeaway. I've just noticed the time is really going on. But I'm going to do a visualization. But I'd also like to just remind you, this is performance anxiety. Now, that was requested for someone who does music and actually performs on a stage. But we're all performing. We're all not acting, but we are in some ways acting. But we want to act as being our true self, singing from our true voice, showing our true self. So that's a podcast or two. There again, two-parter. Hashtag 142 and 143. Performance anxiety. Do just have a little listen to that, because there's some stuff that goes with that as well. And you put these all together, find the thing that works. Because maybe every one of these things will resonate with you, and you'll go, "Yeah, I've done that, and it's been perfect." But a couple will go, "Not getting that, Cloughy," which is fine, because they don't all hit home. Because I'm talking to everyone, and not, well, you specifically and everyone, trying to cover every base. So look to see which one covers what base for you. And I think part of that performance anxiety podcast and the exercises in there will also double up in here. And then I want to do one more visualization. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop now. I'm going to record it, and then I'm going to decide whether to put it in here or put it as an exercise, and you go straight through it on an individual basis and just see how we go. Okay? So I'm going to go do that now. And then you're going to find out in a couple of seconds what I did. Okay? So I'll see you in a minute. So I'm back, and I'm back from recording that hypnosis track. And I think it's quite good, because I've put a couple of different effects in there, which I think will allow you to go even deeper and get a better result. You'll have to let me know. So what I've done is I've put that up on the hypnosis part of my paulcloughonline.com site. So you know where it is. If you're a member anyway, and you've signed up, you can just go there. You'll get your email to say, here's your link. If not, go to paulcloughonline.com/podcast, sign up, and you can have this. Well, I think it's a nice, deep hypnosis which will allow you to find those changes. And then what you do is you go and test the bloody stuff. Excuse me swearing. You test it. You test the work that you've now done. You test all this, the cognitive bits of looking at your values, what's important to you, that checklist, that looking at opinions of other people, knowing that they're not yourself, knowing your outcome. But go ahead and make your plans, because some of those, making those checklists are going to be the cognitive bits. So go do that now. Make it simple, make it easy, knowing that you hold that anchor and firing off that anchor whenever you need. Maybe just remembering that visualization. Maybe from and after that hypnosis track, you could just start to make those decisions, those choices, and let who you want to be come to the fore. And then at the end of a day, a couple of days, maybe a week, notice how different you've been. Notice those wonderful changes. And, I say be grateful for them, but be grateful for yourself, to your unconscious mind, saying thank you, in other words. This is what I like, this or something better. Because with that, you can go on and get this or something better in all different areas of your life. Maybe start to notice those different contexts, those different areas of your life getting better, because they will. That's what happens. Do let me know. I'd love your feedback. I'd like your feedback to the whole of this podcast, because the 2 parts. This one is really long, but I've enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed doing that hypnosis track for you. I'd love your feedback to let me know how you found it, how you found how I communicated it. Did it come across right? Did you understand it? Did I communicate in a way that it was understandable? And also, what are the results you got? How did it make you feel? And what could you share with me in how could we improve upon it? Because that could be even another podcast to the improvements on all of this. Because your own personal experiences and improvements could be something that we can share with everybody. Some they'll resonate with and some they won't. And it doesn't matter. It's a matter of that act of sharing and caring, making this world a better place. We said it's good for you, it's good for others, and good for little old planet Earth. And that's where we're going to be. We're striving, endeavouring to make this place and our lives worthwhile, following our path, following our passion, or just letting passion appear. We don't follow our passion, we become passionate. Bring passion with you. That's the best way. So I do hope you enjoyed all of that. Please let me know. As usual, there's golden nuggets in here, I know. And maybe you could think of somebody who would get some benefit out of this. Because that's the only cost to you, really, is that pay it forward. Pay it forward to the people you love, people that you sort of know, and anybody else who you just say, well, this might help you if you're struggling. You never know. You might have a friend, a real friend, someone a bit closer than you think, who could really deal, or not deal with this, but could have this and be able to deal with life better and enjoy life more. You never know. We can grow this community, the Personal Development Unplugged community, and start sharing into this integrated field of learning. Because I think little old planet Earth and everyone in it could just do with a little bit more, couldn't it? So we have that attitude of leaving everybody and everything that we meet along our way better than when we first met them. I think it's a nice thing to do, isn't it? It's a good thing to do. It's the only thing to do, isn't it? Selfless service. And then allow the law of reciprocity, which I can never say, just comes back and bites you on the bum in such a wonderful way. Get lucky. Enjoy that synchronicity. And as usual, have more fun than you can stand. Until next time. And remember, if you've got anything you would like as an issue to be discussed, to come up with new processes, old processes, any process that will allow you to be who you want to be, to let go of those issues, email me. Please do. feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. Until the next time, my friend, this is Paul Clough. See you next time. Personal Development Unplugged. Bye-bye now. How would you like supreme inner confidence? And when I mean supreme, I mean real aligned inner confidence, where you sing from your real voice. You show up as who you are because you're confident in your competence. How would you like that? Well, I have a program called, guess what? Supreme Inner Confidence. And it's 6 hypnosis tracks built together to deal with your past, the present and the future, all to dispel your unconfidence and allow your supreme inner confidence to come back as just your unconscious way of being in the world. So you can learn to live and have what you want. All you have to do is go to paulcloughonline.com/confidence and you'll see that program there. There's a little video there of me saying 1 or 2 things, but just have a read and test it. How can you test it, Paul? Well, there's a money-back guarantee. If you don't like it or you don't get what you want, I know you will, but if you wanted that safety net, it's there for you. It's a money-back guarantee. Hey, can't be fair of that. What have you got to lose? Well, the only thing you've got to lose is a little bit of time and your unconfidence. And hey, wouldn't it be awesome to have a life where you have all the confidence you want? How would that change? How would that change your life at work, in your relationships, in your social life, in every context, every area of your life? How would that be if you were to think now, going into the future, having all the confidence that you dream of? Not overconfidence, but just being confident in yourself. What would that be like? Have a look. I think you'll find it, well, I know if you like these podcasts, I know that you'll really like it and you'll get what you want, I'm sure. Because if you can't work with me one-to-one, and you can if you want to, but if you felt it's just a little bit of a step too far for you at the moment, have a look at this program and it'll just change your world. I'm sure of it. There's also Free Your Life of Anxiety, another program of mine. First 5 days are absolutely free and they'll give you the foundations of what's happening with anxiety. And then after that you move on to the paid or the premium side of that, again taking you with real in-depth deep hypnosis tracks that I've worked with and developed to allow you to understand, first of all, get the learnings from the root cause of your anxiety, and then find the resources inside you to be free of that anxiety, to live a life the way you want. So please do have a listen, have a look. paulcloughonline.com/confidence or paulcloughonline.com/anxiety. Have a look around. There's some great things on that site. There's also a couple of deep hypnosis tracks. One about creating your inner sanctuary in your mind, your inner mind palace, where you can go to and just enjoy creating, thinking about things, solving problems, all that you create yourself. And then there's deep inner relaxation, where you go so deep, become so relaxed that you learn to become relaxed. And then there's a short burst of relaxation there as well, so you can relax in a moment's notice. I'll teach you how to do that. So just have a look at paulcloughonline.com for those programs and those hypnosis tracks. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.